Tech Talk, guys. So we've got this G37. It's supercharged with a Soho air-to-air kit, and it's here because we need to, of course, calibrate it. Running on E85 at the moment, and first thing I do is get a baseline on it, and our AFRs are just going super lean, and it's pretty good until it hits a certain amount of boost pressure and power. Obviously with these, you make more boost pressure as the RPMs go up higher, and that's gonna put a substantial load on the fuel system, especially with ethanol in it. So first thing we're gonna do is, because it doesn't have a fuel pressure gauge, we're gonna be installing one. I've got one here from CJ Motorsports, and we're gonna be putting a 90-degree adapter in. So I don't know how this thing was even set for fuel pressure. There was no fuel pressure gauge or sensor installed. So we're gonna check our base pressure, make sure that's adequate. And then we're gonna go ahead, make another baseline pass, and then we'll record on video our fuel pressure. And if we see it dropping, we know we have to stop. There's nothing wrong in the calibration. It's gonna be more than likely something in our fuel system. So let's do our first step and let's get this installed. You can probably see it from there, see how the AFRs just start to ramp up. This is pretty classic of fuel pressure drop, or if it's on full MAF-based tuning, running out of mass airflow meter voltage. So I doubt that's what's going on. It's probably the fuel pressure drop. So let's get to work. All right, guys, so you can see in the video, our fuel pressure is dropping substantially at the top. So before we can continue on, there's no voodoo tricks you can do in the tune, really. I mean, it's not, you can't put a Band-Aid on a huge hemorrhaging wound. So fuel system needs to be gone through. Usually what we do is pull the assembly out and then check for the obvious signs of potential leaks on the inside, because those PTF hoses, if they're not installed correctly, can be a big problem. It can just leak. You'll have an internal leak and you don't even know it. So that's one possible issue there. Of course, if the pump doesn't have its own relay, which we'll take a look at, that's going to be another issue. So you definitely don't want to be running your Walbro ethanol pumps on factory wiring. It's just too dinky, it's too small. That's why we run the CJM billet hat, so we can run the appropriate size gauge wire through that into the pump. So let's check that out. All right, guys, let me clean the top of this off. I don't like using the factory hats for known reasons with powering your pump. So we have rubber hose in here, and that could be a problem, especially if it's not submersible fuel hose. Submersible fuel hose can withstand gasoline, but sometimes the rubber stuff that is submersible can't withstand ethanol. So we will go ahead and we will get rid of that, and then we'll look and see. From this angle, it's hard to see it on camera because we got the Venturis blocking it, but there's a kink in the hose that comes out of the fuel pump outlet. And then of course we have, again, factory wiring using butt connectors. So we'll get rid of all that stuff and make this proper. So we'll continue dissecting this thing. Take pictures first. All right, so we've got our fuel pump out, and we've got the AEM sock on the Walbro pump. It's not a big deal, but it is interesting. Probably a collection of whatever they were able to find. But what is a bit more significant is the outlet barb has been modified. So it's been cut, and there's a little bit of gouging on the barb itself. So it was pretty effortless to remove this guy. They probably got rid of the barb to be able to have a push-on hose on there, but the problem is you could have leaks coming out of this thing. So we will end up pulling and then replacing this pump. So it's a 274, it's a good pump. This is the higher pressure rated pump, which is what we want when we're running elevated base fuel pressures. So we'll replace this guy, obviously replace our hoses. We will inspect the venturi we have down here and make sure that that was drilled accordingly. Looks like we can go a little bit bigger. So we'll pop that guy out, and then we're gonna add a billet hat, and then we'll inspect the regulator delete that is in there. So it does have that. All right, I've got all this stuff separated. I am going to cut off the inlet and the outlets from the factory. What I do is I just cut them, and then I'll use a chamfer and just kind of get a bevel in there. The reason I do it is just for it to get more fuel as your fuel level drops, or even when it's above, just to get more fuel into the basket assembly. That way we run less chance of fuel starvation. All right, so the swirl jet was drilled out, but not quite large enough. So I'm using a 7/64 drill bit, which is gonna open it up just a hair more, because I did notice that our base fuel pressure was a little high for the adjustment that's on the actual top of the regulator. So this will buy us a little more adjustment, because we don't wanna have that adjustment bolt too far up. Otherwise you don't have enough pressure on the top of that diaphragm. So if we can set it a little bit more, it'll be a little even better. Blow it out. All right, so with our Walbro pump, guys, same part number 274 that we have here. This is the old pump, but this is the Walbro pre-filter sock. So you can see the difference. This is an AEM. We're gonna put the Walbro one on. It's got larger surface area, which is a good thing. And we'll be replacing all our electrical components, the wiring, connectors, and we're gonna be, of course, using the corrugated PTFE with the Oetiker clamp. So for both the return side and the feed side. Again, so this, guys, will ensure that we have 360-degree clamp load around the entire hose, and this hose, of course, is far superior to rubber because it's going to be submerged in fuel, so especially ethanol. So this will ensure a longer life out of this. So now that we've got our hoses all on the return, delete, and on our pump, we can start putting together the rest of this stuff, and then we'll make sure that we get the sock, clean this up a little bit more, but we'll make sure we get the sock away from the swirl jet, since the swirl jet needs to go into here. So if you're not paying attention and you can put it in and then you think you've got it on, but you don't have it going over the inlet of the swirl jet. So you're not going to be siphoning your fuel correctly out of the other side of the tank. All right, guys. So again, if you've been watching our videos, you can see that this fuel stuff is a common, super common issue, especially when you get a car that you haven't put together yourself, or I should say here, and we're got it on the dyno doing some testing and all that jazz. Number one problem we always run into is either, you know, a fuel pressure issue, boost leak of some sort, but honestly, it's always fuel delivery related. So here we are, we're gonna make the wrongs right, and hopefully you guys will be able to see what it takes to modify your fuel system correctly, so you don't run into these problems. You know, if you don't know any better, you can melt a motor down, right? So most of you guys out there aren't techs, and you don't know how to even look for that. How would you even know? You're gonna trust whoever installed it for you, right? So gives you an idea of what's involved. All right, so let me get these CJM fittings out here. So there's two sizes. Lately I speak in metric because we work on Japanese cars and just about everything is metric. So when you're installing the billet hat, you're gonna see this one here is larger than this one. It's just 2 millimeter difference. This is a 10 mil, this is 8 mil. This is for the return side, this is for the fuel pump outlet. So these Walbros use a 10 mil outlet. So you gotta make sure you do that, because I've seen people also botch this where they go to the trouble of putting in the billet hat, but then they are using an undersized fitting and you're trying to get the 10 mil to work with the 8 mil, and then they just try to clamp it on and it doesn't work, you're gonna have a leak. So be mindful of that when you're ordering your system, that you get the appropriate fittings. So the 8 mil for the return, 10 mil for the feet side when using the Walbro 450 family of fuel pumps. All right, so while I'm doing this, guys, Danny is giving me the assist and he's putting in our relay. And so we're also gonna be using our heavy duty fuse holder so we don't run into the issues with heat, especially in the summer months. All right, we will attach our hoses to the corresponding ports, and then we'll do our wiring on the inside, and then we'll do our wiring on the outside, and then we'll go back to the dyno. All right, lo and behold, here it is, the finished product. Everything looks really nice and clean. We've got everything crimped into our new connector. Everything's tidy, making sure the wiring doesn't get in the way of certain things. We also put a bit of solder on our crimps just to make sure that these don't come apart. And then we've got this all ready to go. So this is gonna be our return side. This will be our feed. Got a little bit of anti-seize on there so we don't gall the threads. So we'll drop this bad boy in and then we'll continue our wiring on the outside. Danny is getting close to wrapping up the relay install, and then we'll fire this thing back up. All right, I'm gonna talk loudly, guys. So we've got the brand new assembly in there with all the bits that we just did, and we're gonna check our base fuel pressure again, because 9 times out of 10, if you fix something, there was a leak, our base fuel pressure is gonna be different. So most of the time it's gonna go up. So we've got good power, we've got good hoses. Let's check it. So when we got the car in, our base pressure was about 53, 54 PSI, and you wanna check that with the vacuum hose off, right? So immediately you can see we're almost at 60 PSI. So that's a good sign. There definitely was an issue. So we're gonna drop this down to about 52. Once we have it set to 52, we can put this in and it'll drop even further because you have vacuum against the diaphragm, right? But this is how you have to set your base fuel pressure, always with the vacuum reference off the regulator. All right, and there you have it. We're right around 52. We'll lock this down. We'll reattach our vacuum reference and you'll see how it drops. It's supposed to do that. And then let's make a dyno pass. All right, mission successful. We have good fuel pressure, as you can see now on the follow-up, fuel pressure holds. With that being said, client wanted a little bit more power, so we swapped out our pulley, went to our 9 PSI pulley, the black one, and definitely made it a bit more power. Now we're just running out of injector. However, we still have a good air-fuel ratio. This is end of the line max, really you wanna do anyway. With a supercharged setup, stock motor setup. We're making now 621 wheel. When it got here, we were at 470 and change, and it was dangerously lean. So take a look. I'll show you the graph here in a minute, but good fuel system now. Really, the only next thing to do is injectors. And if you're looking for more power, which I wouldn't do on a stock engine, is actually go to a twin fuel pump assembly now. Twin, at least 1300 cc injectors. We've got thousands in there now. And we'll call it a day, but plenty of power. Big difference from when we started off this morning. All right, so this was our baseline. I apologize, it was 482 wheel is what it did, not 470, but take a look. This is where the immediate fuel pressure drop off was right here, and that was at a lower boost level. So we're hanging in there, our air fuels are hanging in there. We start running out of injector, right around in here. But again, the street's gonna load a little bit more. So that's why you gotta have a little bit of a headroom there. But brought it up almost 3 pounds of boost, and we're making way more power, and we've got our fuel right where we need it to be now.